So we have A cam, B cam, C cam. Cool. And
Disbanded now, yeah.
wait, but then I get again. Here we go. Welcome to today's episode of Candler Creative Chats. My name is Dan Candler, and on today's episode we have a very special guest by the name of Sian Dorman, who is the founder of Plastique. And Candler Creative is actually supporting Sian and Plastique with her creative and brand identity at the moment, and we're currently in the phase of helping her with her marketing and social media strategy. So let's get straight stuck in and speak to Sian about her journey, her creative identity, and how she got to this place where she is now creating this wonderful sustainable brand that she is creating. So hello, Sian. Hello. So let's get straight stuck into the nitty gritty of Plastique. What is Plastique? What's the brand?
Yes. Plastique is a sustainable jewellery and artwork brand. We also teach workshops locally and in surrounding areas of London, as well, with a focus on sustainability and reducing waste through upcycling. Amazing.
And we're in Haringey right now, so you mainly do your workshops around Haringey and and London based. Are they spreading? Are you starting to kind of branch out further and further with these workshops? And where do you mainly do these workshops? Are they local schools or communities? What?
So I started obviously in my local community, collaborating with schools, colleges, community groups, like what they called, like youth groups and community centres. And then, slowly, like, as the brand is building up, people are reaching out to me from outside of the local area and asking me to come to their event or their school or their community group. So it is building and it is expanding as well.
That's amazing. That's really cool. What can people expect from these workshops?
All sorts of things. So you will be starting from a pile of rubbish and then leaving with a product or a piece of artwork. It depends what the workshop is. There's a few, and I'm also expanding on the offering as well. But the most popular is the jewellery, of course, because that's what I do mostly. So, two types of jewellery workshops. You can either come for soft plastic, so using like plastic bags and packaging, or printing onto solid plastics, so more like bottles and containers and things like this as well.
So where did the whole concept of going and picking up old plastic waste come from in turning it into jewellery? Was it like, did you just randomly just think, I don't like the rubbish around here, I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to make it into jewellery?
Well, I guess it starts from childhood, and maybe with a combination of being neurodiverse and being really creative and just experimenting a lot. But obviously I'm a 90s baby. Being in my 30s, I was brought up on like the Art Attack and like Blue Peter, you know.
Love that.
And they specialised in using household like waste items, like your cereal boxes or your loo roll holders. Exactly.
Make an alien out of this loo.
But these were my favourite. Like, I was always crafting, and both of my parents are also creative as well. So they allowed me to express myself creatively. So I guess it came from that, using things that I just found and came across throughout my childhood. Even like during GCSEs, I was using like in my paintings, I was like layering like found objects into the paintings and things like this. which I felt weird even back then, but they were like, yeah, go for it. And then,
So you still feel weird now?
Well, until people know exactly what is going to come from what they're making, everybody's a bit like, this is a bit strange. Even my workshop attendees. But by the end, they're sold on it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you see the products that come out of it, and you see the videos that you produce on social media with everyone just, you see the smiles on their faces, because what it does, it brings the child mentality of back when it was Blue Peter, Art Attack. I've still got my Blue Peter patch, by the way. And it brings it back to their child mentality, which allows them to feel free and just escape the world. So I think that's amazing. When did you start going on the route of workshops? Did you start your brand? Did you start Plastique? For a number of years or a number of months, and then think you wanted to branch out into those ways, or what was the catalyst to make you think about doing this as like a workshop kind of vibe?
Well, it's actually quite funny. So I have worked in education for 7.5 years before. Cool. So secondary education, adult education, all sorts of education. And like disability centre, like specialist centres. I've moved around all the different places. This was my job before I worked for myself. And I just decided to move away from education to start my own business, and then somehow started teaching all of this immediately. Like literally I quit my job in July of 22 and started workshops July of 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you literally went straight in.
Yes. I don't know what happened. I was like, oh no, I'm going to stay away from education for a little while. No. But yeah, I'd had people asking me for quite a while to teach workshops, and I was like, oh no, like I'm not ready for it, I'm not confident enough. And then I was like, do you know what, let's just do it.
Amazing. And
that's
look at where you are now.
That's how that started.
That's awesome, because it's literally, I sort of say to everyone, it's just that initial first step.
Yeah.
And it's like getting past that boundary of the uncomfortable and the awkward and the self-conscious and the anxiety, and just stepping into that zone, it can just open wonders. And obviously you can see that it's just done amazing things for you. When did you start Plastique?
So I started Plastique officially in October of 22.
Wow, that's fantastic. So 2 years ago.
Yes. But I was kind of doing this sort of thing not as a business, but for, well, like a decade. Because as you will know, I had a business before this one for 9 years, and I was making all sorts of weird, quirky things from found objects and recycled material, a lot of plastic as well. So with that, I would make costumes, and they would be for like other artists or performers, dancers, singers, actors, whoever wanted something interesting. And yeah, from there, because no one ever knows who designs the things that are being worn by other people, I would always design a jewellery collection that was kind of similar to the collection I had made for the costumes, just to let people know it's me.
Yo.
So when you're at the event or something, everyone's praising the models, and you're like, hi,
hello. I made the things that they're wearing.
Yeah. So, but then from doing that, people started to ask me like, oh, can you make me one, or can I buy that? And so I was like selling them, but not like as a business and not full time or anything, just like here and there. And it was never, I was told a lot then as well, like you should probably, like, people will buy these, like, and I was just like, oh no, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. But yeah, it was like a combination of Brexit and the COVID lockdown restrictions that cancelled that business, shut it down for me, and then and then after the kind of lockdown opened and things, like my clients had moved back to their home countries, or there was no performances going on, or people weren't sure what was going to happen, so they didn't want to kind of ask for a costume or plan for this sort of thing. So I kind of tried to reinvent it for a little while. It still wasn't really happening, and then I came across an opportunity to apply for the Mayor of London's pilot pop-up shop on Regent Street. So I applied again as my old business with a costume collection, but then I knew that they wouldn't sell because they're commission based, so I made jewellery that was made from a similar material, the plastic waste, to go alongside as like a gift offering for Christmas. And they literally sold out in the first week, so I had to keep making and then making and then making and making, and I was like, wow. So that's and then I just finally was like, okay, I think I should focus my attention here. Yeah.
No, awesome. Dive into a little bit more about that, the Mayor of London thing. What was involved with that?
So it was, it's now in its second year, and this Christmas they should be moving into their third year as well, running it. We were obviously the pilot, so they were kind of using us as little guinea pigs. But it was trying to get, so Sadiq, the Mayor of London's trying to get creatives into the high street. So you can buy original pieces of art or products on the high street rather than like mass produced or big brands. So, and bring us exposure as well. So they selected, I'm not sure how many people applied, but they selected 14 London-based creatives who were all part of a creative enterprise zone, of which there's 9 in London. So there's only 9 places that you could apply from. And then from there we had a week's training in visual merchandising, e-commerce, communication, like how you speak to people, how you communicate your brand, various different things that we then implemented in the shop, which was on Regent Street.
Okay. Yeah, I actually went to go see the shop, and it was such a lovely space with so many different types of creatives, with their all their handmade stuff. There's people painting, and it was just a really lovely space. How do you think we can, right, you're on sustainability, that's the whole, that is Plastique. I think it's amazing how you are actually creating the products, and how beautiful they look. There's a point of sustainability and in the fashion world. How do you see it evolving? Do you think we can get to a place where this almost becomes like mainstream, what you're doing, right? Like where you get old fabrics from old fabrics or old products, and you say, I don't know, I'm just like literally just thinking of arts where you can like send them to someone or to that company and have them repurpose it. Like, do you think that is a direction we could potentially go? Or
I think a lot of people are doing it, the small businesses, but it's just the mainstream large companies who are focusing on profit over the planet that are hindering our movement towards that. Everybody I surround myself with, or people I meet when I'm just on a market stall selling somewhere in a festival, things like this, everybody has got some kind of sustainable element in their business. But we just need the bigger people who are above us, who are dictating the market, to actually follow suit and implement actually what they say they're already doing.
Let's don't get me started on that side of things. But because I completely agree. I was like, and it's not even just sustainability. I think it's just everywhere. It's just exactly the same. But going more on the sustainable side for yourself, and the brand. Now you say you obviously from a younger age you always kind of implemented different kind of things within your art. did you go more towards that? Did you just, you obviously naturally went towards that way within your creativity, but when did the true sustainability side of it come through? Because I really feel like you are a visionary for a sustainable world and really trying to put that message across. So when did that kind of start to come into effect?
Well, yeah. So I started. I started. Obviously, I started using recycled material from childhood, but it was more about being resourceful and being creative and using what I found. And then we started learning about the environment, and also mostly actually in design and technology in school, where we were learning about designing new products and how we should be designing for the circular economy. And I don't know if that's everybody who was my age, but our school definitely taught us from at least our GCSE years. So I was already thinking about it from younger, but it hadn't clicked yet. And then same with my A-levels, my fashion collection was all recycled, repurposed fabric and clothing. And then when I thought I wanted to be a fashion designer, of course, when I was young. So I applied to LCF.
You are a fashion designer.
Yeah,
okay. You are.
Like a clothing designer then. Thought it was going to be a women's wear brand. And I studied my first year, did a year at LCF, and they were talking about obviously the industry, the fashion industry, and how unsustainable it is. The fact that they burn their collections once they're done with and they're not sold. I think there's just been a ban actually come through on that.
Oh really? Wow.
This year, yeah. So I started to learn things there, and I realised that I don't want to go into kind of the clothing side. I mean, I went into costume instead, but it was more like creative, sculptural, wearable art pieces rather than clothes, or dressmaking. And then when I left LCF, I wanted to focus more on the fabrics and the manipulation of the surface material. So I left LCF and went to Chelsea, where I studied textiles and focused on the fabric manipulation and the kind of tactile element of that industry. And again, learn all about the chemical waste, about the water waste, about the dumping, about sweatshops. That's what I'm trying to say. Sweatshops. We started learning about all these horrible things that are going on behind the scenes that you don't know about, behind all of this, all of the clothing and textile industry. And I just moved further and further away from it. And so even though I studied textiles and I focused on stitching, I started going to places like breakers' yards, like metal scrap places, obviously still keeping with the charity shops, finding fabrics and clothing, and plastics. I also had a part-time job in the pet shop in my local area, and they would have so many interesting like coloured plastic wraps for their on their pallets and things like this, and they would save me things every week, and I'd be so excited. And so in my degree, that's where things started really moving, and there was more like open knowledge about the environment and where we're heading then as well. So it was then that I started moving into this. So I specialised in stitching, but I made sculptures out of rubbish in my degree.
Love that.
that's where everything kind of started. And the reason that I use plastic specifically is because I just like the concept of being able to manipulate and mould the material into a shape or form, and then it kind of set in that position. That's what I liked.
How do you manipulate plastic?
With heat. So I now mostly just use the heat press, so like a printing press. But when I was making the sculptures and things, I'd use like a heat gun. Yeah. But yeah, so I just liked the way that you could mould and it would just set in the form that you had kept. Yeah.
Do you it makes complete and utter sense, the direction in towards this true sustainable direction. Do you feel like you take that now into more areas of your life?
Yeah. Yeah, I think about like waste. Oh, also my business is waste free. So all of my offcuts that I cut off each design end up going into something else. So
wow, that's amazing.
Because I use plastic in the centres that you don't see to bulk up each design as well. So any offcuts and bits that I just need to like bulk out the designs or anything like this, I save them all. And I use them in future designs as well.
Oh wow! So it's like sustainability on sustainability. I love that.
But yeah, it does. I think about it with most of my life, like what, like with your choices on what you purchase or the places that you support, like the other businesses that you support. Yeah. And I'm always the annoying person, just being like, excuse me, like, you shouldn't be doing that.
Please, can you please stop putting that on the floor? Thank you. Yeah. And I feel like with Plastique, you're really building a community around it, and I think that comes from the sustainability, and I think people are starting to wake up. People are starting to want to be better, wanting to do better, and finding the types of brands that create that message and can promote that message and figure out and almost teach people how to be that way, because the higher powers that be can always say, oh, like, you have to do your part, like, do your part, put into recycling, but like that's all you really hear from them. There's no real direction of how to actually implement these things on a larger scale and in a minuscule scale. They just say kind of a binary thing of like what you have to do. So do you really feel like you are now building a community around the brand, and are you trying to kind of build that and try to help others on that journey now?
Definitely. I mean, we do have an aspect of people. We work together with the local people to collect our plastics. So there are certain people that are like my regulars who will collect me certain materials. So I've got like people who collect me bottles, people who collect bags.
Oh, wow.
And then also there's certain like local litter picking groups or individuals as well, who will find me things that they know I'll use and they'll save me them. And I want to implement it a lot more from now on, but in the lockdown this was a huge thing where everybody was stuck at home and they were just using a lot of, there was a lot of takeaway containers and things like this, and so I would constantly, also being stuck at home, putting out calls on social media, just being like looking for this and this, or these colours of materials, and then I would go from like door to door on a collection of my plastic waste, and that was going really consistently for ages, but then I think life got in the way, so really want to start really pushing this. At the moment we have like certain local businesses, like we've got a hair salon, Toy & Co, and they give us all of their washed out bottles, which obviously they go through a lot from all the products they use. And then I still keep in touch with my old pet shop job people who give me their coloured plastic.
Oh, big up.
Broadway pet stores.
Shout out. Oh no! Oh, fantastic! So you really are building a true community, and that's how I see community. That's what I'm trying to build with Candler Creative. It's an ecosystem, right? It's an ecosystem of creativity and support. That's what you're trying to build, and you can see that, and that's how I think that's how I feel like we move forward as a society. Is we just have that one tiny little bit of an extra thought to go, you know what, I'm going to pick up this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to shout out this person. You know, just that extra thought of support. It can just go in such a. It can go so far. So with obviously, you know, with the brand, and now we're kind of supporting you with the brand. Where did that development come into play? Where you wanted to kind of. It was a bit of a shift, right? Like it was a bit of a shift to go like, actually, let's make this into something now. Let's actually build on this, because you know you had London Made, and I feel like there was a real momentum over the last year. Do you think that had a massive factor on trying to kind of build that brand now, and then trying to get, you know, more engagement on the brand to get it out there, especially with the amazing community you're building and the values you're putting out to the world? Did you feel like you? This is a long question, but did you feel like you kind of saw that and then thought, okay, I feel like this is my thing now, and like I just want to fucking go full ham with this?
Yeah, I think because I'm just myself in the business, I'm managing everything at the moment. I mean, occasionally I do collaborate with other people, or have like a studio intern, or you know, the occasional freelancer. But essentially, I've been doing everything by myself for the whole couple of years that we've been going. So I guess I was just like manoeuvring and working my way and figuring things out as they went. And now I feel like there's a real kind of, there is a style to it, like there's a identity to it, which I didn't have when I first started. There was no like colour palettes, for example. It was just whatever colours that I found. But now I kind of I'll save a nice colour to make sure that I can find, you know, something that goes with it that matches our brand, for example. And I've forgotten your question.
It's because it was a long-winded question, and there was no real question to it. It was just a waffle on. I occasionally do that, so no need to worry.
Yeah.
It was mainly with the connection of trying to build that brand now, and coming, and utilising us, because you're right, and that's why I was going to go off of what you were just saying is. As a creative individual, and as we start to build something that we truly, in our heart of hearts, feel is us and is our passion and our love, we tend to obviously think we have to do this alone, and then we get to a stage where, you know, when you fully understand the premise of the identity you're going for, it is a case of like, okay, actually, how do I get the people around me that can actually like build this up? Because you're right, we all just do it alone, and we don't ever feel like we can just ask someone for, yes, okay, you have your interns and all of that, but you can never I never feel like, as a creative, even like as a photographer or like as a model and stuff, I never feel like I can really like reach out to people and go, oh look, like I really want to build this side of things. Can we maybe just work together for a couple of months and just figure out together how we both work on each other's brand? Yeah. We just think, no, this is my thing, and I will do this alone. But now you have, like, say, Candler Creative, and like, you know, there's a team of 3 of us, you know, me, Val and Lana, like kind of just that person behind the scenes just going like, oh cool, like maybe try this or maybe do this.
Yeah, you've been amazing. It's been amazing help. Blushing. Thanks. No, it's been really great. It's making me feel like, okay, yeah, I need to actually employ someone now to help permanently, maybe, or at least on more of like a, you know, contractual basis, like a longer term. It's been eye-opening, the help that you've given me.
I think just in general, sorry to interject, I think just in general though, what I've noticed, what a team who have no I think a team in general, even us or like people that we've worked with who with the community, especially like say on the podcast, like for this, like we used to have like podcast flames, and all of us would meet up and we'd all have a Zoom and then work out, oh, what's our next steps, what doing this. I think just having people around you, that's why I touched on the whole thing of community. The having people around you where it's not the first thought isn't what can I gain from this. The first thought is, okay, actually, right, how do we support that? And then the gaining comes from that over time. But the first initial thought is never, okay, what can I gain from this? It's just initial, okay, let's just do this, let's just support, let's see where this runs. I think that in itself creates so much inspiration, and I think because of the technological age we're coming to, it's becoming a lot harder to actually have that mentality of like, actually, let's just come together with a load of people and figure out this together. So do you feel like that's actually really kind of inspired you to think of new innovative ideas to projectile the brand to new heights, and dedicate yourself to really growing this into something? Again, that was a really long-winded question. I tend to do that a lot. It's fine.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah, Candler Creative Chats, people. This is what we do. No, this is my fault. This is what I do. But the sense of working within a team. Working within a team. Do you feel like that really enhanced your inspiration for the brand?
And no, 100%. And I'm also doing this with the workshop side of things as well. I've just recently started collaborating with a couple of people who also do certain workshops as well. So yeah, it's definitely improving everything, the clarity of the brand. Yeah, because I want to slowly move away from local markets and get more into online. I'm shadowed.
Online. So go more towards the e-com side of things, yes. Which I guess you learned when you were doing London Made, right? But to do that, people won't trust you if they don't know you, if they found you online without having a presence, a brand presence, like the clarity to the brand, so people understand immediately what they've stumbled upon if they found you online. Which is what you've really helped me with, kind of making it a cohesive, kind of obvious, like clear, like offering. I think the minute that you go onto my website, actually someone told me the other day, and a workshop attendee said that they had seen my workshop on Eventbrite, but then they weren't like 100% on it, so they went and checked the website, and then they were sold. Like, just because of everything they saw on the website, which is like all the package that you guys have helped me with. Nifty photos in there. Completely. So with the see, now I've lost what I was going to say. This is jokes. Identity, creative identity. I think it's so. Let's speak a little bit more on that. Do you have any like tips or ways that of the mentalities that you went through in order to find that clarity for your brand and creating that cohesive?
Well, I think the brand has to be you, essentially. It has to be your personality, because if you're trying to be something you're not, then it won't work. So even with the nicest photos or the most paying for the most expensive advert or something like this, it won't work. People won't. It's not believable if it's not you. So being authentic, I guess, to yourself is the biggest.
Yeah, I love that, and I think being authentic when you can get to a place where, say, you can come to a team, like say Candler Creative, and be your authentic self within that meeting, within that, you know, that within that consultation or meeting, or just, you know, being with that team and authentically saying your truth and going, look, this is actually what I enjoy, this is what I like, this is what I love, and this is how I've done the brand, and how I've done everything so far, and being able just to be comfortable with understanding that, I think, is a true way to become truly successful in your creative identity. Because I think you're right, all of us are trying to be seen and to be heard, and in order to do that, we feel like we have to fit a mold. We have to fit a certain way of doing things that society says that we have to be, because that's, you know, the craze at the time. But what people don't understand is the length and long span of all of our lives and this world, and how things adapt and things change. But what doesn't change is us. And we do change. We're always changing. But what doesn't change is our true authentic core. Our true authentic core. So do you feel like with the journey you've been on, you know, over the last year, maybe even just before you even met, well, even before we started working together, do you feel like you were you started to really see that authentic self of you, and the brand, and then that's why I'm kind of going back on myself, but that's why you kind of went more that way, because you were like, oh, actually, you know what, though, this is me.
Well, I think, do you mean with my first business to now?
I guess so, actually.
Because the first business I started straight out of university in 2014, and back then I was completely different person. I was younger, I was partying a lot, you know, going out clubbing, being social. I'm literally a hermit now. And so I was going out, you know, meeting people and networking, but in like a social vibe, and going to gigs, parties and things like this, meeting other creatives who were also trying to do their thing, and then collaborating with them. They wanted a costume for their performance or something, and that's how it would be, and then that would lead to something else, or I'd go out on another night and see someone else, that kind of thing. And back then I was happy to work, you know, with absolutely no sleep for weeks on end, just to get this project done. You know, I've now learned as a person in their 30s to you know, manage your health and your time, and also I don't want to be working with no sleep and slaving over an outfit, and I also don't go out to the same like sort of events that I used to go out to, and I'm not making the same contacts that I was when I started it. And so I kept pushing, and then obviously I was doing it for 9 years, so I had lots of returning customers, but it just wasn't me anymore but towards the end of it. And I was still just going and like just plodding along, I guess, because that's all I knew.
It's like a desperation, right?
And also you don't want to think your business is failing, you know. And so for a long time I actually had Plastique, and I actually just cancelled it officially last March. So I was kind of doing both for a while, because I was too, not scared, but like I didn't want to say out loud that one is just not happening anymore.
Because you feel like, because you know, it's the same with my vibes, to be fair, because I'm slowly going away from, you know, just photography or modelling, and I kind of feel a little bit like a failure.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh fuck, like, am I a quitter? Like, am I quitting this? It's like, no, like what I've now noticed is, though, that journey of like I just said, like desperation, and just going like, fuck, no, because I am a creative, guys, look, I am professional creative, see, look, I'm doing all these things, and like moving away from that, and then just being just owning your it's all a journey. It's all a journey that leads you to this point of true inner authenticity, to where you are now. And for some people, I think that can take a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
And some people, it can take a hell of a long time.
Yeah, I think also in terms of like mental health and well-being as well, I'm in a different place now to when I was doing my other business. So my other business was quite dark and
interesting,
like more like horror, creepy, like quirky kind of dark vibes, whereas now I'm all colour. And I've just had, I went through a big stage of depression when I was younger, and that made it, I guess it all came out in my artwork. All the artwork I made was dark and gruesome, and I actually had a name for myself for a little while. I was like making aliens for like 6 years. It wasn't even like, so I had like a job working making an alien for a psychological thriller, and it was super fun, like I loved it, and then they released it, and then I got another alien job because someone saw that, and then from that one I got another alien job, and then I was just alien like back to back for years. I would say about 4 years. It was just aliens, like, but yeah, really gruesome, dark, odd stuff in the beginning of the business anyway. That was like straight out of uni, and then from that it started moving into more like, I guess, sculptural, quirky,
It's amazing how your emotional state and your mental health state was just transitioning through your art. Do you think you like thought of it at the time? Like, did you think oh, I just feel like shit, so I'm gonna make fucking dark alien and looking deep, or was just like it was just a natural?
I think I just thought that was what I liked making, or people used to always say, because I still was me in my personality and my character, like I would still laugh a lot, joke a lot, and people would say like, it's so weird that you create this work. And I would be like, well, it's probably the way that I'm getting rid of it. Like, that's my way of,
that's a
like...
really good way of putting it.
Yeah, but I don't need to get rid of that anymore. So now all that comes out naturally is just, like, bright colours and pattern and...
I love that perspective. Like, you may have not even known, but at the time you were trying to have all these negative emotions exit you, like just leave, so you would do it through your creativity, and now you're becoming one with yourself. Your true positive self is coming out now into the art. I think that's really beautiful, and you can see it with the art. I mean, I'm not going to turn all these cameras around, guys, but we are currently in Sian's studio, and her art is everywhere, and it's so colourful and bright. You know, it's a lot of, like, flowers and all this amazing wonderfulness, and you can really see the mentalities through that, and I think that lifts people up. So when you start to feel at one with yourself and start to understand your true creative self in its authenticity, you can project that to others, and you can see that now by the community that you're building. You know, the amazing workshops that you're producing. You know, the happy faces you see in all of your videos, with all the people that just love your art. So I think you're doing amazing things. What is the next steps for you?
Wow. We're obviously working with you to try and build our brand awareness, but we also want to expand on the premises. So as you said, we're in my studio. It's very tiny.
You wouldn't know that by this video. The video setup, it's actually huge. Oh my god.
But yeah, so me and my partner, who also teaches workshops, but they're sports related, but also community at the core, and works with all ages and things. So we're looking for a space that is large enough so that we can kind of merge the two and use the space together, so that we can, so my studio would be based there, his office would be based there, I would teach my workshops there, and he would teach his classes there as well. And then with that, I would hope to be as I said, I'm forming these relationships with other workshop facilitators, and I would hope that we would kind of build more of like a partnership of so we can have like more of a club kind of offer. So a regular workshop space, regular events happening. But yeah, just one location where we can encompass everything that we do and collaborate with other people who are doing similar things as well.
That's awesome. I mean, you're definitely on that projectile towards that direction, and you can see it, and it's coming so fast. Like I feel like it's really building and really growing into an amazing direction. But amazing. I think, like I've said many a times, I think your mentality, your values, your vision is beautiful and is amazing, and I think the artwork you produce is also incredible. So just
thank you.
Awesome fucking job. You're doing amazing things. But awesome, guys. This has been Candler Creative Chats. To get in touch with Sian, where can they get in touch with you?
Well, I'm on all social platforms, but I'm most active on Instagram, and I also have a website which is plastiquebyshan.com. Yeah.
Sweet. This has been amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Of course, make sure to subscribe and like, to follow Candler Creative content and just creativity. Sweet. Thanks a lot, guys.